Well, thank you very much. First of all, I'm very honored and delighted to be in this outstanding panel. World leaders are sitting on the left to address issues from the government point of view, and probably I can add a few points as a businessman, but also as an Iraqi. I was born in Iraq, and fate changed, and I had to go to the United States and finish my education there and pursue a career in banking. Maybe I can share with you my own observations of what I've seen. The subject I'm going to address is democracy. This is a subject that's on the lip of every Arab today throughout the Arab world. And it's on the first page of every newspaper. And I'm sure that the audience here, each one of you, looks at that subject as a desirable form of governing. We may all agree that that is the ultimate goal, but we will not agree, I don't think, how to get there. I like to look at the foundations of democracy, how it's built, and how do you get there. These foundations need to be looked at. First of all, what is the backbone of democracy? To me, it's the existence of a middle class. You cannot have a democracy, sustainable democracy, without having a widely established middle class in a society. What produces the middle class? It's a good economy. It needs education, and it needs an economy that will absorb the educated people, and these professionals who work in and we call them the middle class, are the backbone of a society that produces the economic standards. Let me take one individual as a sample in the middle class. What does this individual look like? We will see that he has adequate education, good training, has a job, and is happy with his job. He owns a home, or he is planning to have a home of his own. And if he has children, he wants these children to be in school. There are a lot of things that he can do for himself with his own resources. He's free. He is not frightened of anything. There's a rule of law that protects him, and he is driven by his own well-being. This individual is driven by his own personal desires to raise his own standard of living. Take this individual and multiply it by millions. That is what I call the middle class. Now, what will produce the middle class? You got to have an education in a country, and then you have to have a viable economy that will absorb people into these jobs that they are needed. Let me bring two examples. One is the United States. United States of America, some 200 years ago, people immigrated and crossed the Atlantic to build a nation. They built the railroads, they built the cities, they farmed the lands, and they found an economy that would satisfy them and absorb those who are learned in the various universities, to absorb them as skilled labor, skilled professionals, and they are the ones who created the middle class in America. And that middle class has produced a democracy. So it's really not something to ask for it right now and get the benefits right now. This is not like switching electricity. Building a democracy needs generations. One generation builds it, and the economies produce the middle class as we go on. Another transformation that's taking place right now is what's happening in China. Look at how they are absorbing these peasants from the fields and turning them to a middle class, turning them to professionals, and the Chinese economy is developing. And as that economy develops, not only these people will be producers, but they will also be consumers. So consumption is increasing, and the economy is multiplying. This transformation is absolutely necessary for a sustainable democracy to be established in a country. I will tell you about my own experience in the Gulf. I came to the Gulf for the first time in the mid-1970s. I was working for an American bank in New York, Chase Manhattan Bank. And at the time of mid-70s, if you remember, energy prices hiked up. So it caught the attention of every bank in the world to see the attention, what is happening in the Gulf states, which are the base for this energy exportation. I came to the Gulf, and I remember I saw nothing but masses of space of white sand. There was nothing. But there was one important thing that caught my attention right away. And that is, there were leadership and governments that knew that their job is to do two things. One is establish free schools for everybody, and the other one is to build infrastructure. The infrastructure was built. Airports, roads, electricity, water, all the needs of the foundations for building an economy was established in the 70s and 80s. And today we are sitting in places like this, which we never dreamt of. These are the right steps to take to build an economy, and that right economy will produce a middle class, and the middle class will enjoy democracy in the long term. So here's my conclusion on this. Education plus infrastructure will build an economy, and the economy will produce a middle class, and the middle class will produce democracy. I don't want to leave you without sharing with you one story that I witnessed. This is 1976. I was representing Chase Manhattan Bank in the Gulf region. My chairman, the chairman of the bank from New York, David Rockefeller, came to the region. And I took him to visit all the heads of states of the Gulf. But this particular visit left a big impression on me. We went and visited Sheikh Zayed, Allah yarhamah. Sheikh Zayed Al Nahyan, the creator and president of the United Arab Emirates in Abu Dhabi. I was asked, because I speak Arabic and English, to translate. He had his own translator, but Sheikh Zayed asked me, you said, you stay, you translate. And David Rockefeller started with a complimentary statement, saying, Your Highness, I run a bank, and I am fully challenged with the job I have to do in worrying about one bank. How do you create a whole nation from scratch? All these constructions that's going on, how do you keep all this? You must worry about a lot of things. And I translated this to His Highness. And His Highness, I don't know if you remember his face, he looked at me straight through with piercing eyes. And I'm waiting for an answer to translate. And he comes up with a word, نعم, مثل الشجر. I'm waiting until he finishes his phrase. He tells us more. And my chairman raised his eyebrow next to me. He said, what did he say? I said, sir, he said tree. We're both waiting for him to say. And that's it. He didn't say very much more. He wanted to say that if you want a tree to eat its fruits or to make use of its shade, you have to plant the seeds and nurture it and water it and wait for it to come out. I say this story because it affected me a lot in forming a company here called InvestCorp. It takes a long time, and I've been there 30 years and we're still building it. But building a nation or reaching democracy, this is not going to be happening at the time of you want. If you want democracy, don't ask for democracy, ask for economic development. And that is happening in the Gulf states. Each of the Gulf states are opening schools and building economies. These economies will produce the middle class, and the middle class will enjoy democracy in the long term. Thank you.